If the present is not satisfying, how can I handle that without disturbing my day? If the present is not satisfying, what we mean by satisfactory thing? What is satisfying? This has to be understood. Satisfying to what? To your body, to your physique, to your mind, to your thoughts, thinking process, emotions. What is satisfying to the body may not be satisfying to your mind. What is satisfying to our tongue? We want to eat something that is, we define that to be delicious, but it is not doing good to your cholesterol. It is not doing good to your system. We are just talking about the same body. Tongue is a part of the body. The tongue wants to taste something that it defines as tasty, as delicious, but that is not satisfying the body. So we have to understand, satisfying on what level? And this conflict is going on always, not just with the questioner, with all of us. What we define as satisfactory may not be satisfactory on other levels. So we have to find a balance. What is good for my general well-being? That is important. Not so much satisfactory, but what is good for my general well-being, and that may not be satisfactory in the beginning. You may not like, I am now on the juice of, what is Karela? Bitter gourd. Every morning I have a half glass of a juice of Karela, bitter gourd. It's very bitter. But I know it's good for my diabetes. And if I want to refrain from medicines and I don't walk too much, I'm a lazy fellow, so I have to take this bitter gourd now. It's not satisfying me. I have to close my nose when I'm swallowing it, and I learned that from my boss. When I went to Japan to work, I was just in my 20s, early 20s, and we were invited by some Japanese, and they served us with udon, the Japanese noodles. Now, if you eat Japanese noodle in Japan, have you been to Japan? It tastes different. It is not the kind of udon that you have in Bali or in the West. It's a totally different taste. I'm used to eating Chinese noodles, and that too, Indonesian version of Chinese noodle. When you go to China, it is different. So I'm used to this kind of spicy Chinese noodle made in Indonesian way. And here I'm served with udon, and I was almost vomiting. I couldn't digest, I couldn't even smell it. And my boss was looking at me. And he told me, he whispered to me, in our language, in my language, my mother tongue, he said, I know that you cannot eat this, but if you don't eat, our host is going to be very displeased. So what you do, you hold your breath and you eat. You won't taste anything. That's what I did. And I could finish the whole ball. But after that, I would refuse udon. I would never eat udon again. I just could not taste. I could not develop the taste for it. So that was the lesson. And now I could choose. Okay, I could choose that I will not eat udon anymore. But I cannot choose between bitter gourd and something more bitter than that. I have a police woman here. Her name is Upasana. Every morning she brings me half glass of it. And first she gave me 1/4 of the glass. And it was okay, all right. The next day she added some more. Now it is 3/4 of a glass. I have no option. Either I go back to my medication, which I don't like. Yeah. At my age, of course, I've gone through a lot of health issues, so it is good that my diabetes can be controlled with bitter gourd. What the heck, it's okay. It's not satisfactory, but I know it is good for my well-being. So at one point in your life, you have to really decide what is good, what is beneficial for your well-being. And what is beneficial for your well-being is not a one-day affair. It may not be good, satisfactory today, but in a long run, it could be very good for your general health. And you can apply this rule to every aspect of life. It's just not about your health, it's about your relationship. It's about many, many things. Many, many things. You fall in love, you have some relation with someone who is not from the West, who is in the East. And you are brought up with this kind of feeling that, well, we are all human beings. Of course, we are all human beings. But on what level? Soul level, we are all one. No matter how fair you look, no matter how dark I look, at the soul level, we are one. Physical level, our blood, same types. We don't have too many types. There are no different types for Western blood or Eastern blood. Food, I can get used to your food. You can get used to my food. Place to live, I can live in the West, you can live in the East. But there is something else. The bringing up of people, the cultural shock that you may have when you finally decide, I want to marry an Easterner or I want to marry a Westerner, there will be a cultural shock. How do you handle that? It may take time. It may take time. So it is not a matter of today or tomorrow. It may be very satisfactory when you are in relation. It may not be satisfactory when you are already living in together or you are remarried. And if you decide to break then you are done with your marriage, with your relation. If you cling on that and you try to compromise, you try to adjust, both of you, you may turn something bitter into sweet. So it's not a matter of 1-2 days. It's a matter of one whole episode of life.